Those are songs I was, when my mother was, younger and listening to those songs. But those songs still.
Hello.
Keep on the.
Hi. Come on in the room. It's Tuesday, 7:30. Dating hits different. Oh. Broken heart again, another lesson learned. Better know. Let's jam until everybody comes in the room. Gotta count on me. I can guarantee that I'll be fine. No more pain, no more pain, no more pain. No more drama in my life. Hurt again. Gone through ups and downs. You wanna be around. But baby, I like to sweat. Cause I was young and restless. But that was long ago. I don't wanna cry no more. No more pain, no more pain, no more pain, no more pain, but sit with my mind. No more drama in my new upset. Oh. Speak my mind, okay? It feels so good when you let go of all the drama in your life. You're my soul, why you're happiness, I don't know. Only God knows where the story is for me, but I know where the story begins. I'm so cool. No more pain, no more pain. Y'all hear it with me? Gang with my mind. No more, no more, no more, no more. No more crying every night. The morning, the servants won't cross. Go ahead. Say hey if you're watching. What's up, Justin? My favorite part coming up, y'all, when Mary goes off. All right, y'all. That's like my headline right now. Because if you don't know, I have an event coming up called No More Trauma, or whatever Mary says. Live event here in Charleston, South Carolina. But we do have virtual tickets, so if you can't make it to the Chuck, it's all right. We got seats for you too. Yes. Yeah, Mary was going off. Truly. All right. So yes, so October 29th, I'm having my first live event that I haven't had. I have not had a live event in like 5, 6 years. So we're back again. No more trauma or whatever Mary said. And we're dealing with the trauma in our life. And if you see tonight, we are back for another episode of the Dating Hits Differently show, or the Dating Hits Different show with me, your host, your girl, TeAire Griffin. And I am here to coach women who are frustrated with their relationship life. Women that think that there's pee in a dating pool. Women that are so sick of the dating scene. She just over it, don't know what to do. She feels stuck. She wants love, can't really get what she's been praying for, not really ready, don't know if she's ready, don't know how to prepare. It's just so many things going on. And I want to help her date differently. And not we, it's me. I help her date differently by dealing with her childhood junk. We got to deal with the childhood junk, okay? So tonight, if you see, I have Dating Hits Differently, and I have this quote that I got from this young lady on Instagram that I followed the other day. I saw this post, and I was like, oh my God, I love that. And she said, I healed for me, and then love followed. I healed for me, and then love followed. How many of you, because I'm see me, when I come on this Dating His Different show, I'm coming to keep it all the way 1,000. I come to keep it $150. I ain't got time to be like trying to cap out here for nobody. Let me tell you, when I first started my healing journey, it was not for me. I'm just gonna put that out there real quick. When I started my healing journey, it was not for me. I did it for my relationship. I wanted to keep my relationship because and we're going to get to this. I'm going to do a Dating Hits Different with attachment styles. You may not know anything about attachment theory. You may not know anything about the insecure levels of, you got to record. You may not know anything about the relationship levels that comes from our parents, insecure relationship types like avoidant and anxious and fearful, avoidant and secure. You may not know anything about that, but I'm going to get into it, not really tonight, but I want to do a whole separate day for that. But there are so many levels of insecurities that we have in our relationship. And a lot of times we believe that these insecurities come from the man that we're with. The man that I'm dating is making me insecure, or the woman I'm dating is making me insecure. But if I can be honest, it's not them. It's not them. They don't make you insecure. You already are insecure. And you deal with that by dealing with your childhood. Everything that I do is to help you move from daddy issues to dating differently. I want to help you move from mommy issues to dating differently. And until we deal with our childhood junk, until we deal with our past relationships, until we break any soul tie, any ungodly soul tie, we are not going to have the relationship that we want. It's like, what's the word that's coming to mind? It's like impossible to have the relationship that's going to be fruitful, that's going to break generational curses, that's going to be all you ever wanted and more, if you don't deal with the things in your heart. Hey, Pastor Abraham, right? So I had a friend, I was having a conversation with her, and I was like, oh my God, she is not going to have the relationship that she talks about, that she longs for, because she's not dealing with the things inwardly. And I had women come up to me just this week, just asking me like, well, how do I heal? How do I heal so that I can be prepared for the love that I want? And we have to look at the invisible wounds. We have to look at what people can't see, and even what you can't see yourself, right? It's like an iceberg. And to be honest with you, when I was watching the Titanic, can I be honest? I thought that an iceberg was just on top of the surface. What you could see, I thought that was the iceberg. I thought that was all that there was to it, nothing else. And then as I started to see on social media that the iceberg is huger underneath the water, or huger, that's not a word.
that the iceberg is greater and it's more enormous under the water than what people can see. And a lot of times we're dating in our relationships from what people can see. We're dating, good word, daughter from another mother. Hi, another mother. I wonder who mother is that. I call a lot of people mother. But hi, mother. So when you're dating and you're only dating from what you can see, you're dating from your relationship patterns, you're dating from let's see what things that we can see. Your personality, and you're asking these questions. That's only what we can see. But until you deal with them stuff that's underneath that surface, oh, hey, Mama J, until you deal with the things that's under that surface, you are not going to have the relationship that you want. Did you not see that when that Titanic, the greatest, it was what, in the movie Titanic, the ship that is unsinkable. Yeah, that's what they called it. This ship is unsinkable. And what caused it to sink? It wasn't the ice at the top that caused the ship to sink. It was what was underneath the surface. And it's what's underneath the surface that's causing your relationships to sink. It's what's causing your relationships to tank. It's what's causing your relationships to fail. Ask me how I know. Because I was one of them that sabotaged the relationships that I had. It wasn't me by myself, but I was a part of the problem that caused my relationships not to work out. So that's what I want to talk to you about. She said, I healed for me and then love followed. If you healing for anybody else, if you just healing so you can keep your relationship, if you're just healing because I want them to see how much better I am without them, your healing will not be sustainable. Until you heal for real, until you unpack your baggage, your emotional baggage, the baggage that you've been carrying from relationship to relationship, until you unpack the baggage that you have been toting around with you everywhere that you've gone, that you've collected souvenirs from all your relationship and all the places you've been and all the things you've done, until you unpack that baggage. It's going to cost you more to get to where you're trying to go. Until you unpack that baggage, the relationship that you pray for, you won't be prepared for. Why? Because as you're trying to be intimate, vulnerable, and trust somebody else, there's too many bags in between you and them, and they can't get close because there's too much. There's too much. So I healed for me and then love followed. I didn't heal for me at first. I healed for everybody else. I healed for the end. I didn't heal to get to know myself better. I didn't heal because I wanted to become a better person for me. I wanted to be a better person so that I could keep my relationship. So that means that when we do things to keep a relationship or for a relationship, if that person still ends up leaving, what, do you stop healing? Are you no longer important in your relationship? Is it no longer worth it to figure out who you are and how you can do things differently? I healed for me and then love followed. Hey, cousin. Listen, I healed for me and then love followed. So another young lady on Instagram, she was like, I was telling her some things to do, and she summed it up in such a beautiful way. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was trying to say. She was like, so you're telling me heal the inner layer and not just the surface? Absolutely. You got to heal the inner layer. You have to heal, again, what is below the surface. You got to heal what other people cannot see. You got to even heal what you cannot see. You have to heal the things that if you're still mad at your mama, and you're still mad at your daddy, and if you're still holding on to the first man that's ever hurt you, if you're still holding on to all the things that you keep in your heart that you don't want nobody to see, how in the world can we expect to have this amazing relationship? How do we expect to raise our children in a way that they don't have to deal with the things that we encountered in life? How in the world do we expect to break generational curses? How do we expect to love somebody when we can't even love ourselves correctly? It has to start with you. That's what Mama J just said. It has to start with you. We can't wait to heal until we get an apology. You can't wait to heal until somebody says, I'm sorry for doing this to you. You got to heal for you, because if not, you'll be waiting for something and never getting the thing that you want. If you wait on someone to do something for you, you literally will, you're putting them in control of your life. And a lot of us, like me, do not like to be controlled. So you can't even see that it's a subtle control. I'll do this when. I'll do this if. I'll wait until. Who is in the driver's seat of your healing? You got to heal whether they want you or not. You got to love you whether they want you or not. You have to choose you whether they choose you or not. Healing is something that you got to do for you, because if you don't, it'll never be sustainable. It starts with you. It starts with what's laying below the surface, right? So I was at church on Sunday, and I was asking my friend, because I'm really trying to promote, this amazing live event on October 29th, virtually or in person, shameless plug, right? And I was like, friend, did you grow up with your mom and your dad? And she was like, yeah. I was like, did you have a good relationship with your mom and your dad? She was like, it was all right. And I said, do you still have residue? No, before I asked that, I said, did you grow up with your mother? She said, yeah. I said, was your relationship with your parents everything that you ever wanted? And she stopped and she looked at me. And I was like, have you healed of the residue of what you didn't get from your parents? Do you even know if you have residue from your parents? Do you even know if you're still mad at your parents? Do you even know how the trauma of your mom and your dad is impacting your life? Because we want the adult us to have all these beautiful things. We want the glitz and the glam, but there's no way your adult self can receive and have all these things if the childhood you is still broken. It's a divided party. It's almost like what came to mind just now is that when you're blossoming and your friends aren't. How awkward is that to be around if your friends, if you going and you got everything that you've ever wanted, and then your friends are kind of like held back and they're not growing. Eventually you're going to separate, and that's what's wrong. A lot of us are detached from our childhood self. You want it all. In spite of your childhood trauma, you want the life, the glitz, the glam, the money, the business, the friendships, the relationships, the travels, but you want to do it apart from your childhood self. You guys are one. So you have to heal that inner thing. So after I said all that to her, she just looked at me and I was like, yeah. If you don't know, make sure you meet me October 29th. And I sent her the link and everything. But there's so many of us that are going through life, suppressing, ignoring, wearing a mask. Because one thing about me, again, I only thing I can do is keep a gift. Only thing I can do is keep it 100. Because I only grew up with women, I was taught pull up your bootstraps and keep on pushing. I wasn't taught how to sit in my feelings until my counselor was like, TeAire, hold on, wait, let's stop right there. How did you really feel about that? I'm like, I'm numb. It don't bother me. She says, yeah, your mouth is saying this, but the tears are telling a different story, right? I never had to sit in my truth. I never had to sit with me, because a lot of times we don't sit with us long enough to even get to know us. We date everybody else, but you can't tell me any great things about yourself. You can't tell me how you can make anybody else's life better. You don't even want to look yourself in the mirror, but you want to look in somebody's face and call them your girlfriend or boyfriend. It does not work like that. And I'm sorry that I'm giving you the raw and uncut truth. But one thing that I want to do is see women healed. I want to see all of us married. I want to see women, especially Christian women, get off their knees and start praying and start healing. I want to see you married. I want to see you in kingdom marriages. But there's no way we can get to the altar if we don't first get past our childhood junk. So do you even know? I was taught, pull up your bootstrap, but you'll be all right. So what I looked like was this person. I looked like I had it all together. I just graduated. I graduated from college. I had this really great job. I was making really good money. I thought I had really great friendships, not relationships. I thought I had really great friendships. Like I thought that things were falling into place. But then I looked at my life one day and I was like, I feel like I'm in a merry-go-round. I'm moving, but I'm not really going anywhere. I look like I'm doing a whole lot, but on the outside, I look like everything is going well. But if you were to come behind closed doors, like if you have you ever seen like at carnivals, or you've seen like what are those things called? Like the mechanic room to any ride. If you go into it, and I didn't put this on my post, but I was nigger rigged. I was patched up with glue and tape, and I was functional, but you couldn't see all of my functions, because every time something would break, instead of getting it fixed the right way, I was just trying to do whatever I had to do to make sure that I kept working, kept functioning, kept going. And that's how so many of us look. If we go underneath the surface or go into close quarters, and they really see what's in your heart, if we really see how broken you really are, if we would stop masking, we can get to the life that we really want. So it's not just about healing the surface. It's not just about, I'm not going to call him anymore. It's not just about, I'm not going to text anymore. It's not just about, I'm going to stop chasing him. I'm not going to date unavailable men. It's not about the things that we can see. It's not about the activities. It's the things that you're doing that you don't even know that you're doing that's causing the greatest problems. Because it doesn't matter who you date. There are other powers that be. It doesn't matter who you date. It's how you're dating. And most of the times, we don't even know how we're dating, so we don't even know what we're doing. I wrote it right here. I said, you can want the relationship all you want, but if you don't deal with what you cannot see, you're only going to sabotage the relationship. If you don't deal with the unresolved pain, the unresolved traumas of daddy walking out and never coming back, if you don't deal with the unresolved trauma of you having to shrink because your mom was very domineering and didn't let you speak up for yourself, if you don't deal with the things that still have you mad from your childhood, if you don't deal with these things, you won't know why you're dating the way you're dating. You'll be holding on to people and you think, I'm just holding on to the relationship, when the real thing you're trying to hold on to is not being rejected, is not being abandoned. The real thing that you're trying to hold on to is daddy walked out, so I can't have this happen again. What you're really holding on to is the fear. It's so much deeper than what meets the eye. I think that's tonight what I want to drive home. If nobody's ever told you, I want you to take a moment just to look deeper. I want you to take a moment to actually feel the feelings, instead of telling yourself and your childhood little girl, the inner girl on the inside of you, instead of telling her, just get over it. Instead of telling her, you'll be all right, just get over it, move on. And not having that grace with you that you want for your adult self. Like you got to give her grace. You got to give her grace for the fact that she's still scared. You have to let her be okay, because she's already been neglected. She's already been abandoned. She's already been rejected. And if we continue not to hear her cries for help, we aren't going to be, like, if we continue to ignore her cries for help, we're going to keep dating in these relationships and wondering why they're not going anywhere. And I said this a couple of years ago on my YouTube channel, right? Until the little girl is healed, the woman in you will never be satisfied. Until the little girl in you is healed, the woman in you will never be satisfied. If we don't go save our little girl on the inside, if we don't reparent her, if we don't go rescue her, if we don't go free her from the prisons that she feels like she's in, because childhood trauma makes you feel like you're in a prison. It makes you feel stuck. It makes you feel like you can't move forward. If we don't go save her, She's going to continue to be in prison while you're trying to move on, and you can't, because you can't move on apart from her. So I healed for me, and then love followed. I healed for the little girl on the inside of me. I'm not healing for my future. I'm not healing for my children. I'm not healing for my relationship. I'm not healing to get this job. I'm not healing for God to bless me. No, I'm healing for me because I want to be a better person. My counselor said, she said, if this work doesn't give you like this desire to want to know you better, if there's no benefit of you becoming a better person, there's no point of healing. If you don't think that anything greater is going to come out of this, there's no point of trying to figure out what's next. You have to be so interested in getting to know you. You have to be so interested in who you are and who you are apart from apart from, let me see. You got to want to know who you are apart from the trauma and the pain that you felt. There is somebody greater beyond your trauma self. There's a true self. Your trauma self is the self that you are that needed to survive. Your trauma self is the little girl who felt abandoned and rejected, and she has low self-esteem. Your self-esteem problems came from you being rejected at that job. You thought your self-esteem problems came from people calling you ugly or you being bullied. No, your self-esteem problems, I told you guys this last week, it came from your daddy issues. It came from not feeling worthy or good enough. It came from your childhood. You are shaped in your childhood. And in who you are shows up in your adulthood. So there is a trauma self that needs to be healed. Because if not, you're going to date from your trauma self. You're going to date from your survival. You're going to date from what didn't happen. You're going to date from your deficiency. You're going to date from your lack. You're going to love from your lack. You're going to choose from your lack. You're going to choose from what you didn't have. That's what attachment styles is all about. I think that's what we're going to do next week. That's what your attachment style is all about. Your anxiety, and when you date anxious, you are so clingy and you want this relationship to happen so bad because you've never had this kind of love. Even if it's the worst love in the world, even if it's a love that is mediocre, it's not giving you half of nothing that you want. Just the fact that it's there. I need this love. I'm desperate for this love. And you're dating like that. Or you're dating avoidant. You're dating shutting down. You're dating when you don't want to be bothered. You're dating super independent. You're dating super masculine. You are dating from your trauma self. Just like how our parents did the best that they can, absolutely, but they also raised us from their trauma self and not their true self, and we got the short end of the stick. Your trauma self. So I got a lot of stories about my counselor. I'm not gonna tell you. I got a lot of stories from my counselor. So one thing that she told me was, I think I was reading a book, and the book said, give me a second, let it come back to me. I was reading in the book, and the book said, when your parents, or even you, when you are in a survival state, you're not worrying about how to love somebody properly. Because the main thing that you're focusing on is how to survive. You're not thinking about how to love your kids the best way that they need to be loved. You're worrying about, do I have water? Do I have food? Do I have a roof over my head? So we're upset with our parents because our parents didn't love us the way that we needed. When they too were in their trauma self. They were in survival mode, Because when I didn't ask my dad, me and my dad were having a conversation one time, and I learned about how my daddy had daddy issues, and my daddy's daddy had issues, and my dad was not raised by his father, and his father wasn't raised by his father. It was like, dang, this is generational. This is not just a him thing. My daddy had a trauma self. And it's unfortunate that I didn't get the love that I needed or the love that I wanted. But when I didn't get that, am I loving from that place now? Am I loving from that fear? How can we want a relationship from an unstable and an insecure place and expect, and we expect it to be the most greatest love of all? Oh, this is the one. This is the one that's going to hurt you again. He's the one. He's the one that's going to be another reason why you can't stand love. It's going to be another reason why you have relationship issues. It's going to be another reason why you feel like there's pee in the dating pool. He's going to be another reason why the dating scene is bloody. He's just going to add to why you don't want to love already. It's just only going to add to your trauma self. We dating people that's just trying to survive. This man ain't trying to love you. He don't know how. And another one. Exactly, Maisha. That's how we dating. And another one. And expecting more. So today I wrote a status and I was like, listen. I didn't say listen in the post. But I was writing a status today and I was talking about good ground. Do you know that nothing beautiful, nothing great, nothing amazing grows in toxic soil? Do you know that relationships are a seed? And seeds have to be planted in good ground in order to have any type of harvest. So if your relationship is the seed, who is the ground? You are. Right? Let me find the status because I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm just going to read a part of it. But you are the good ground. You are the ground. And you have to make sure, again, the reason why I said what I said as far as I healed for me and then love followed, you have to be the good ground to cultivate the seed because the ground has to be healthy in order to give what's the word I'm looking for? The ground has to be healthy to give the seed nutrients in order for it to grow, right? So you have to be good ground. So how do we get our ground good? You have to do the work. You have to cultivate it. You have to get dirty. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to uproot. You have to dig out. You have to destroy. Sometimes even farmers, before they plant a new harvest, they burn the ground so that anything that was in the ground before, any seed that didn't grow, any seed that's still there will be burned so that nothing from the past will grow up now. A lot of the times we are trying to get a different harvest, but we still have bad seeds in the ground. We still have our bad relationships here, and we still have our bad relationships in the ground. We still have our bitterness. We still have our hate. We still have our unforgiveness. We still have all this in the ground, and we expect a harvest of love to come from this. You have to heal and take care of your ground first. And I even said this, like some of my friends I was talking to, I was like, listen, if I am working so hard right now to cultivate my ground so that whatever seeds I sow in my life will bring me a harvest, right? And I'm doing work for me. And I meet this guy who isn't doing work for himself, who has weeds everywhere and bad trees, because the Bible says no good tree comes from good, it says no good fruit comes from a bad tree. And no bad fruit comes from a good tree, right? So I'm looking at him. He got bad fruit, bad trees. He got weeds and vines and poison ivy and all this. I mean, his land needs to be cleared. It needs to be clean. And I'm over here working on my land. So that means that when you join with me, now I got to do the work on your land too. Now, instead of planting new things, instead of having legacy, instead of having fruit that come forth that's going to feed our children and our children's children, that's going to feed other people that come and see our relationship and our marriage and want to know what kind of love this is. And I got to stop what I'm doing to get your land cleared too? No, baby, I need you to come with your land cleared. Because if he can't cultivate, let me say this really slow. If he can't cultivate his ground, what make you think he gonna cultivate you? If he don't care how his yard look, how his life look, if he's giving the bare minimum to upkeep, do you not think that you would be neglected too? See, the problem is when we are dating from our trauma self, our picker is broken. So you're not gonna, you healing, you ain't gonna pick the man as your true self, as a healed self that got all these weeds and stuff in his yard. You ain't gonna date, you ain't gonna love the man, you ain't gonna join yourself to somebody who got all these weeds in their yard. What you're gonna do is you're gonna notice it because your true self is healed. And when you heal, you have clear vision. You're gonna look at their yard and you're gonna say, I do not want that in my life. That's not something I'm going for. And you're gonna be willing to leave that because you're not dating desperate anymore. So I don't need to join with you because I'm afraid of missing out. I'm gonna go for the one who has a yard like mine or whose yard is cleared and is fruitful. Because I'm not trying to date for my trauma self anymore. I'm not trying to have this amazing love and I'm broken and I'm bruised and I'm battered and I'm bitter. Your relationship is a reflection of you. I learned in my last situationship, relationships do two things. Number one, it reveals what's in you. I mean, it reveals what's really in you. Like when I tell you some stuff was coming up that I thought that I was over. When I tell you, I thought that I was like, oh, I'm going to counseling now. Like I'm over that. When I tell you I wasn't over half of nothing, I thought I was over. This young man was bringing things out of me. It was like a magnifying glass. And I didn't like what I saw. I look like my mom. I didn't like what I saw. So relationships reveal what's really there. Hey, Miss Morgan, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Not dating from my trauma self anymore. Absolutely not. And I'm trying to help us not do that no more. Right? So, and it does another thing. The second thing that relationships do is reflects you. So if you are miserable, your relationship will be miserable. If you are insecure, your relationship will be insecure. If devotion, like devotion, that's beautiful. That's a really pretty name. If you are fearful, your relationship will be full of fear. So if you look at you and there's things that you pause. If you don't like you, your relationship ain't gonna like you either. If you are trifling, the relationship will be trifling. If you don't cultivate you, you ain't gonna cultivate the relationship because what you do now is what you're gonna do in a relationship. We wanna wait until we get in a relationship to have all these things. If practice does not make perfect, practice makes permanent. And there is a such thing as mental pathways. So when you start practicing now for the relationship that you want in the future, you've already created mental pathways in your mind to automatically do. Did you know that although humans are complex creatures, we are not mysterious? We are creatures of habits. We date from habits. We date from patterns. If you look at your life, look at every man you've dated. You can't tell me that there was no similarities. And let's go a step further back. You can't tell me that the men you dated didn't have similarities, and they didn't have similarities to your biological father or the man that raised you, or the man who was your daddy but wasn't in your life, even though you don't know him. Why? Because we are creatures of habits. We are creatures of patterns. Like when I listen to because I love this whole attachment thing. I love helping women heal from daddy issues to dating differently. I do this. And when we're talking to people, as I'm listening to things, it's like she's reading my life. I'm not reading your life. I don't know you, but I know your pattern. And we have to break through our pattern. We have to break through our pattern. We have to be good ground. Because when a man comes into your life and you come into his life and you're both good ground, that means the seeds that you plant in him and the seeds that he plants in you will grow into something beautiful. But it cannot grow if you're toxic. You're still on your knees. Come, grow. God, please let this be the one. Lord, is this the one? Is this? And you're praying and you begging for seeds to come up. When all you got to do is cultivate your ground, the ground of you. I healed for me and then love followed. Another thing is you need to heal for you, because if we're going to be more like Jesus, he was whole and healed. If we're going to be more like Jesus, we want to be whole, because that's what God wants for us. Not because you want a relationship. It got to be more than that. When I was on my celibacy journey, which I still am, I'm going on 7 years, 8, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019, 20, 21, 22. I'm going on 8 years, actually. I'm going on 8 years being abstinent. And let me tell you, when I was trying to be abstinent for everybody else, it was not working. I had to have a much greater why to keep on my journey of healing, of being abstinent. So I'm telling you, on your journey of healing, you got to have a great why. Because I want to become all that God wants me to be. I want to know who I am. I want to know my identity. I want to like me. I'm telling y'all, I didn't like me. I didn't like the things that I was doing. I didn't like the way I was showing up. I didn't like that I was so insecure. I didn't like that I had low self-esteem. I didn't like that I felt invaluable. I didn't like that I would let people walk all over me. I didn't like that I became everything to everybody else in relationships. I didn't like that I was a chameleon. I did not like that I camouflaged. I did not like that I couldn't look in the mirror. I didn't like that I didn't like my skin. I didn't like that I didn't like me. I didn't like the men I dated. I didn't like who I wasn't. Should I continue? I did not like me. And we're trying to make ourselves love ourselves when you don't even like you. And you don't like you because you're in your trauma self. You're in the self that you had to be to survive. You're in the self that you had to be in order to be loved, in order to feel complete, in order to just be okay with you. No man, none of your friends want to love your trauma self, because guess what your trauma self looks like? It looks like a cactus that nobody wants to get close to. And they can't get close to you because if they touch you, they'll bleed. If they heal people, but hurt people hurt people. Nobody wants to snuggle up and trust. Even if you think about the story that's coming right now, when the snake bit the man, after the man rescued, y'all, I feel like preaching and I'm really trying to calm down. Woosah. The snake bit the man after the man was trying to rescue him. And the man was like, oh my God, I saved you. How come you bit me? And the snake said, did you not know who I was? You shocked, they shocked because you bit biting people. You a snake. Snakes do what snakes do. And your trauma self gonna do what your trauma self gonna do. There's nothing else I can expect from you except your trauma. You're going to hear me through your trauma. You're going to see me through your trauma. You're going to love me through your trauma and want something more. How? Trauma begets trauma. Let me look at my notes. Let me see what else I want to say. Is there any questions in the room? I appreciate, because I'm preaching. I appreciate, let me see how she pronounce her name one more time. Devotion. I appreciate you being here, sis. And if you want to talk to me further, you can always DM me. All right. I'm trying to go back and look at your childhood. And I started this off with the whole iceberg, right? I started this off with the whole iceberg. The Titanic did not sink because what was on top of the surface. The Titanic sunk because what was underneath. Your business is sinking because of what's underneath. Your adulthood is sinking because of what's underneath. Your singleness is sinking because of what's underneath. Your friendships is sinking because of what's underneath. Your relationship with your family is sinking because of what's underneath. Your relationships are sinking because of what is underneath. I healed for me, and then love followed. Y'all, it was that part. Because when I was healing and I had my head down, it wasn't for nobody else. And guess what? I'm still healing. And I'm dating. I'm out here looking. I'm out here waiting to be found. But I'm telling you, I'm going to give my husband the best gift of me. I'm not going to give him my trauma self. I'm going to give him my true self, my authentic self, the self that is going to be secure and confident in me. The self that can show him new things and things that he ain't never seen before. Why? Because I'm not trying to be all he wants me to be. This is who I am. And for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be accepted for who I am. I'm not out here begging for permission to be me no more. That's why I healed. Because I got to face myself in the mirror. When all y'all go home, do I like being with me is the question that you need to ask yourself. Am I afraid to be by myself? Am I only dating this guy because I don't want to be alone? Because misery loves company. I'd rather be miserable with you than rejected by you. Come on. Trauma self. My trauma self hears what it wants to hear. My trauma self hears through the filter of trauma. You could be saying something so nice to me. Your compliments even sound like trauma. And going back to the ground. So you being good ground, right? And the ground has to be ready to receive the seed. But a lot of us, let me read what I wrote here. A lot of us are afraid to fall in love again, have no idea how to receive love, don't even think they are deserving or worthy of love. That's not good ground to sow a seed and expect a harvest of love to come from. The ground that is miserable, that is toxic, that is broken, that is insecure and fearful will only bring forth heartache, disappointment, and more pain. The ground has to be receptive. The ground has to receive the seed. It has to accept the seed. Your heart is not ready to accept love. You don't want to love. You're scared. You're not trying to be vulnerable. You don't necessarily want to be intimate with somebody. You do not trust easily. They got to break through 11,000 of your walls. You're not ready to receive a relationship. Can I just be honest? But you want to date. What is the purpose of you dating for? Because I wrote something a couple weeks ago, and it's in a free gift that I give to people who just finding me and they want to know more. And one of the things I said is, dang, Holy Spirit, what was I about to say? You have to be ready just to receive love. And sometimes our ground isn't ready to receive. You have to be open. You have to be open to it. It's not his job to break down your walls. It's your job to break down your own walls. It's not your relationship's job to unpack your bags. You got to do that in your singleness. I'm not scared no more. I appreciate, girl, yes, you cannot be scared to love. That's not good ground, because God says that perfect love casts out all fear. So if there's fear in your heart, it won't even receive. All it's going to do is reject. And that's why we keep sabotaging love. That's why we are sabotaging our relationship, because our fear is causing us to have these responses that people can see. It's causing us to have these responses that people can see, and we end up pushing people away. I was a texter, a rapid texter. I was a puller upper. I was calling multiple times. I was calling your mama and your sister and your friends. I was watching there should be 1,000 people in this live. They come in, Mr. Michael. I was calling, I was stalking on Facebook. I mean, I did it all. And then when they would come to me, finally, I would blow up. My emotions were all over the place. I was over the top. I mean, how can that not mess up a relationship? So you may not be like that, but you may have been the one that shuts down. You may have been the one that doesn't return text or return call. Now you are the one that avoiders. What do avoiders do? They don't want to talk about it. They don't really care about your feelings. They don't really care about your emotions. They minimize you. They make you self-doubt. They can be narcissistic. And they seem like they good, like I'm fine. And you thinking, why won't you love me? Why won't you show me? That sabotages relationships. That's your trauma self. I need the more one-on-one right now. So I'm appreciative. Oh, girl, I'm here for you. I want to know how you found me too. So your ground has to be able to receive. If you're afraid of rejection, you're going to I was so anxious in my relationships. I was pushing people away who didn't think about leaving me first. I presented, when you met me, I was calm, cool, and collected. I was confident. I was beautiful. I looked like I had it all together. And then in the relationship, I'm stuttering. It was almost like when you so I also sell, I also am a loan officer, right, y'all? So it's almost like you're going into this house and you're showing them everything that you want them to see because you want them to commit, right? I want you to buy this. So I'm not going to show you the leaking roof. I'm not going to show you the mold down in the basement. I'm not going to show you the cracks I'm not going to show you that, because I want you to buy. And that's what I would do. I wanted to be in a relationship so bad. I'm not going to show you this because I don't want you to leave me. I don't want you to reject me. And I really want to be with you. So I'm not going to show you everything. And it's called false advertising. You're wanting somebody to buy something under false pretenses. I wanted somebody to be in a relationship with me under false pretenses. I'm not going to show you this. But once you've committed to me, in my mind, not necessarily that I can show you now, but now I can loosen up a little bit, or I'm still not trying to show you. But then that one day you touch that moldy floor and you fall in. Think about it. That's what our relationships look like. They accidentally step where the termites have been biting that I didn't show you, right? I didn't show you how my heart was eating away by my childhood trauma. I didn't show you that my heart was eaten away by my exes. And then you step where the termites have eaten and you fall in, and guess what? You get hurt. I didn't show you that my foundation was cracked. So while you're trying to add on, woo, come on, Holy Ghost, you're trying to add on to our life by giving me children, and then you just make the wrong move and I fall. And I blame you for why I'm like this, or I blame you for why the relationship is failing, when it was not you. I was already broken. My foundation was already cracked. It was already cracked. I was already broken. But I didn't want to show you that because I wanted you to commit to me. I rushed into relationships because if you took too much time, you wouldn't like me. I mean, am I in your house right now? So that's why I have to heal for me. And I can't just heal on the outside where people see that my lawn is nice, where they see that my house is clean. But if you come in, there's writing all over the wall. I didn't want to be that girl. I wanted to be whole for me because I didn't like being with myself. I told the girl this, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I told the girl, I did not, you could see that I had it all together. But internally, I was a mess. I was chaotic. I did not have no peace. And I kept trying to go on with life, kept trying to move forward without looking at my life as a whole and taking some type of inventory. The key to all this is become aware of you. Heal for you, whether, can I be honest, whether God, it's not even God, whether you get married or not, it's for you to become a better person, because sometimes marriage isn't in all of our futures, but you have an assignment, you have a purpose, you have a calling that God put you on this earth to fulfill, and you got to be whole for that. You got to be healed for that. You got to be at peace for that. I think that's all I got. I healed for me, and then love followed. Whatever you're looking to follow, you got to heal. So in order to prepare for the life and the love you want, you need to heal your unresolved childhood trauma. That's what I want to say. You need to heal your unresolved childhood trauma. Whether I'm married or not, it's healing whole and happy full is for me. Yes, because you got to live with you. It's you and you. You are your greatest competition. It's you versus you. Right? So I think that's it. I think that was great. So join me every single Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. I'm here for the Dating Hits Differently show, and I am TeAire Griffin, and I help you women who are frustrated with your relationship life to date differently by healing your childhood junk first. I want to help you move from daddy issues to dating differently. And in daddy issues, there's also mommy issues. Trust me, it's in there. It is in there. But I have this event, let me play my song, coming up on October the 29th, virtual or in person, in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's called No More Trauma, and I'm going out with a bang, just like this. Oh. Y'all enjoyed it tonight? I'm so glad y'all were in the room. Make sure y'all tell me what y'all learned. Hit me up in the DMs. Oh, it just turned off. Hit me up in the DM. I enjoyed this. You're healing. You're healing me. Oh, thank you. I'm just trying. I'm still healing too. But I want to help women heal their relationship life. And men, I wish you were in California. I'll let you preach all day. Listen, just give me a reason to come to the West. All right. But you can always be in the room for the virtual training that I have coming up. Let me put it right here. Tickets are on sale now. I have some counselors coming in. Yeah, and it's going to bless your life. If you like this conversation, it's going to be this plus more, bit.ly/No More Trauma 2022. And we're going to heal. If you aren't in Charleston, South Carolina, I am taking speaking engagements on how to heal from daddy issues. All right, send me the info, please. I will. And you can be virtual in the room. It's time to heal. No more trauma. I choose to win. No more pain. I will put it in the comments. In games with my mind. Okay. No more tears, no more crying every night. Phone call Make sure if you're watching now, you come back and watch the replay. Yeah, no more. No more trauma. No more trauma. All the trauma. Come get out my life. I'm about to lose my mind. No more trauma. More trauma. You do the same, sweet love. Make sure you inbox me. Love y'all. Make sure y'all get your tickets.